This is Off Track. Hello, welcome to the Off Track with Rossi. Dude, did you know that Barber was in a different time zone than Indianapolis?
Didn't until Tim called me in a mood, being like, "Where are you?" I'm like,
I didn't think I was in a mood.
I have 30 minutes, and he's like, "No." And then Ed, who was riding in the car with me, was like, "You're on Central Time," and I was like, "Oh."
See,
I did.
Here's my version of it.
Was the thing?
I thought you were just being a troll because you texted that you'd be free by 6:15, but you texted that at 6:30. So I just thought you were.
At what point? James knew where I was. At what point was he like, "Oh, he's in Barber," so clearly it's a different time zone?
But no. We always talk about Eastern time. So I know you're in Barber, but it's not my responsibility to like decipher your time zones.
Okay.
Oh, well.
when I'm looking at my phone and doing my scheduling, and you guys are like, "What time can you come on?" And I'm like, "Okay, by the time I get to the hotel, blah blah blah, it'll be blah blah blah." All right, fine, I get it. But like, I'm also not in California. I'm not like, I forgot. I didn't know. I didn't know.
That's all you have to say. It doesn't have to be like, well, why didn't you figure it? It's no big deal. It's fine. It happens. You're the one away working, so you're making the biggest sacrifice time wise, and you got the most to figure out. So it's fine. It's not a problem. How was your day at the track? Because you were at the track today. You weren't in it, on the track.
Pointless, bro. Like how pointless setup days are in the first place, let alone setup days for a test.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like
so. What does a driver do in a setup day?
Refresh his Instagram. I don't know.
All right.
That is so accurate. That is so
am
good.
I wrong? Like,
No.
okay. In theory, you discuss, the
test plan.
Here's the thing. Yes, you do all of these things. You talk about the test plan. You talk about things you're trying to accomplish, areas where last time you were here. No. Areas where last time that you were here, usually, most of the time, not usually, but most of the time, you've been to said track with the team that you're working with. So you like have very clear ideas of like where you were bad last year, why the car was blah, blah, areas that you have to focus on. In this situation,
you have not.
In this case, I have not. So they're talking and telling me about areas where they were weak. I kind of share some experiences of things that have been beneficial and good in the past. All of it is with a huge asterisk because this is the first time that we're at Barber with a hybrid. And a shocker, it's a new tire. So like, I don't know. So basically you talk in hyperbole about things that may or may not happen. And then you just realize that we're going to have another meeting tomorrow morning going over the same stuff. And it's still going to end with we're just going to have to go out there and see what we got.
And let's also not forget that you've probably also already had a meeting back at the shop before you even left for Barber.
And multiple pre-event reports and conversations and sim days. And yes.
So what you're saying is you should have just driven down this afternoon and gone to the track tomorrow morning for the first time, because what did we accomplish? Is that what you're getting at?
No. Because it's good to see the guys. It's good to shoot. And it's good to show your commitment because they're there. So you should be there. But like, do we actually as a group really accomplish anything on a day like today? Not really, other than relationship building.
Yeah,
and
team building exercise.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's fair. Did you drive down or fly down?
Flew. Me and
Flew
Christian.
yourself?
Yes.
Lovely. I bet Christian's like pretty stoked that he signed for a team whose teammate and team owner share a plane, so he just gets to fly everywhere with them.
So we landed at the FBO and like the rental car was waiting, and so by the time we touched down to the time we were rolling was like 7 minutes, and he was like, that's a nice way of doing it. And we were like, yeah,
welcome to the program, son.
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, he was a little in awe and disappointed when we parked next to Pato's jet that's painted with his logo and his colors, but still,
I don't think I knew Pato had a jet.
Oh yeah, Super got a jet.
It's actually too small of a jet for him now, so he's in the process of upgrading jets, I believe.
We've all been there. Yeah.
Right.
It's funny because I was speaking to Grosjean about his jet because he upgraded from a twin prop to a jet.
A Premier. Yes.
I think he's downgrading now because he's realizing how insanely expensive they are to operate.
But what's funny is, like, I told him this throughout his entire buying process, and he was like, no, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. And then you start writing these checks, and instead of it being, every time you do it, $1,200, $1,600, it's like $7, $9 grand. Yeah. It's too much. That's too many grands. That's about too seven grands. Too many.
Way more grands than I've got to throw away on airplanes. Speaking of airplanes, I shamefully neglected to tell a very important travel story on this travel podcast last week, flying home from St.
Can't wait. Yeah.
So it was one of the most.
Were you on that Spirit flight out of Tampa?
No. I was on
out of Clearwater.
I was on no, we did a connection. I was on an American flight. I couldn't get on. It was those. We booked everything so late. So I booked late just because everything that we did on weekend one was late from our side of things.
Was your connection from Tampa to Indianapolis via like Shanghai or something stupid?
Shanghai. Oh, okay. No, it wasn't quite that bad. Okay. But so Fox obviously books my travel. And so when Becky then decided to try to book, because she wasn't sure if she was staying or if we were, she was going somewhere else. So by the time she booked, she was in a middle seat in like row 12 or something, right? And just is what it is. And I had a big seat up front. Thank you, Fox. Shout out Fox Sports. And I told her, I was like, there's just no way that you're not sitting in my seat. Like, it's not like, it's just not going to happen. It's fine.
Of course.
And she was trying to fight me on it. She's like, no, you worked all weekend. Whatever. I was like, it's fine. We're going home. Like, if I was landing and had to go straight, if we're doing a red eye and going straight to work when I landed.
Like, flights.
Correct.
Like, yeah.
I was like, it's fine. So she's like trying to fight me on this, like all the way into the plane. And so I just made sure I was ahead of her in line, put the bag up at my quote unquote seat and was like, have a great flight. And she was trying to fight me on it, whatever. Fine. So I leave. So she goes in. So we're sitting there and this flight attendant comes up to me and she was like, hey, there's a gentleman who would like to, he goes, are you traveling with your wife? And I said, yeah. And she goes, there's a gentleman that would like to swap seats with you so that way you can sit with your wife. And I was like, no, that's not necessary. And she's like, he's pretty insistent. I'm like, I don't think he understands that I'm in a middle seat back here. It's fine. It's very, very kind. Please send him my thanks. And she goes back, she's like, he really would like you guys to be able to sit together. And so like, now it's just kind of awkward, right? Because there's like, I'm sitting around other people. I'm like, they're like, why aren't you going? I'm like, okay, all right, sure. So I stand up, I go over, and the guy was like, yeah, look, I get it. She was like, I know you. I know that you travel a lot for work and you probably don't get a lot of time with your wife or whatever. So he's like, I know when I travel, I like being, every minute, because I travel a lot for work too. So every minute that I can be with my wife, I really appreciate that time. And I was like, sir, you do not have to do this. Like, I am in a middle seat back there. He's like, it's fine. It's a short flight. He's like, I would rather you guys got the opportunity to hang together. And I was like, that's the sweetest thing I've ever experienced. That's I felt incredible. So guilty taking it, but like you could tell he was not taking no for an answer.
Yeah.
So Brian, shout out Brian. So when we landed,
I would never do anything that nice.
Humanity's not as you'd think.
It's not all gone. There's a few good eggs left. And so we got off the plane. We waited for Brian and chatted to him for a little bit, got his email. He's going to come out to a race. We're going to sort everything out. It's going to be great. So, but just like the nicest act of kindness I've seen in a long time, when people normally just like all when you're traveling, right?
Yep.
So then we go to check into our flight to the next flight from Charlotte to Indy. So again, Becky's in economy. I've got a business class seat. We're there. It's about to board. And they call like 12 names up, 15 names up to the front desk. And mine's one of them. And I was like, okay. So I stroll on up to the thing. And this is an oversold flight. Like they've already kind of tried to get people to do this, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I get there. I'm at the back of this queue of people. And the guy says something and I can't hear what he's saying. And I'm like, wait, he's not kicking us off this plane, is he? Like, I really, really would like to get home tonight. And they're like, no, it's something about a broken seat. And they're asking for a volunteer to like move to economy. And so like I like pushed my way to the front. Like I noticed no one put their hand up, but so I pushed my way to the front. I was like, sorry, what's the deal? He's like, we've got a seat with a malfunction. We can't use it. He goes, before I just randomly select somebody, I like every time this happens, I like calling up the whole class of the whole cabin and being like, is anybody willing to volunteer? And so I was just like, that's God. That's the universe telling me it's time to take one for the team. So we can all just, I got my business class seat that I wasn't supposed to have on the last flight. We're good. I'm like, absolutely. I will take it. Let's roll this thing. And like, it was so funny because it was crickets, man. When he first said it, everyone was just like, and I was just like, what's the deal? I'm like, dude, I'm not delaying this flight. Like, let's roll. Let's go. And so it was just the universe balancing itself out. So I thought it was funny. Funny day on the trip home. Huh?
Well, I mean, Brian, what a hell of a guy. Like I can't. Yeah, I'm of your same thought process. Like, there's no way I would ever let Kelly sit and coach if I have like, you're not going to do that to your significant other. I wouldn't do that to my mom. I wouldn't, like, you just don't do that, right? Fine. But I also would never go to the lengths that Brian went to for the two of you. So, like, shout out Brian.
For like someone he does, like, complete stranger, and just like saw for all he knew, I was sick of her and wanted a time away.
Knowing you and you being like my best friend, I wouldn't do it for you. If Becky sat next to me and she explained the situation, I would be like, that guy.
No, I would have like literally looked back at you and cheersed you from first class. Yeah. Like, not opened the curtain for you.
I'll send you a cookie.
You'll see it. Please send him a Diet Coke. I get those anyway.
Right. No.
I would never, like, if you tried to use the front cabin bathroom, I would definitely tell the flight attendant on you.
No, they taste better up here. This is a business class Diet Coke. They taste way better up here. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. Oh, Mark's going to hate this chat. Mark's really not going to like our business class chat. So that was very cool.
That actually did happen to me on a flight home where I had gotten upgraded, and I saw my uncle and his wife boarding the same flight, and I guess they didn't get the upgrade, and I just kind of waved and watched them go as they passed me by in first class. I was like, sucks to be you, Uncle Mark. Like,
I feel like in general, well, again, it's only you. It's not like you can do anything in that situation.
I could have given it to my aunt, but you know.
Maybe she wanted to be with your uncle.
So James, it's race week for you. We've got sporty cars are back. Should we talk a little bit about, since we're on the sporty car topic, or about to be on the sporty car topic? Yeah. There's a little bit of chaos surrounding one of the teams in sporty cars. So I feel like we should mention it. So AO Racing is a team in LMP2 as well as GTD. I don't know which one.
I don't know which one.
Anyways, so can you guys hear that?
No.
I'm in a hotel and I feel like there's another chipmunk in my wall. Anyways, fortunately I travel with my saw, so I'll get to work. They have done a very good job of creating this brand around their cars. So their cars are like, they have mascots that are like dinosaur mascots, and they're painted kind of crazy greens and purples and all this stuff. And they're defining like characteristic to their schemes is the front of the cars are like teeth. Right? Like, I don't want to say shark teeth, but some sort of animal teeth or whatever.
Well, it's dinosaur. Like it's a mouth with teeth, and there's a gold tooth.
Dinosaur teeth. Yeah. And so there was basically a little bit of controversy that developed because
how did it start?
How did what start?
The controversy. Like I saw the backlash after the fact, but like what? How did it? Did you see how it kicked off?
I did not.
Yeah. So like, I guess maybe a fan like put teeth on their car or something.
I saw a girl posted a picture of her car with the teeth photoshopped on the front of it, saying, "Oh, I was gonna do something to my car, but I guess now I got to do this," which, like, good-natured, fun, cool.
So the backlash came from, they responded to that being like, hey, this is kind of like our thing and all this sort of thing. And I think it came from a good place in the sense that
they even tried to say it was trademarked. They said their liveries are trademarked. Make your car your own thing. I agree. They weren't like cease and desist.
It wasn't. So there's a point to this broader story that I'm bringing up. So I think the response was good-hearted in nature in the sense that they didn't want their brand to potentially be hurt at some point in the future if, God forbid, something were to happen with a car that had racing teeth on the front of it and all this sort of thing, right? It's the same reason why teams don't want you donating all of your team wear, kit to Goodwill, and they want you to throw it out, even though it pained all of us to do it because it's perfectly good jackets and clothes and polos and all this sort of thing. You got to throw it out because they don't want said sponsors and partners and whatever potentially being involved in a really bad situation later on down the road, right? They don't want to have that
ending up in Portland on some crackhead who's
right. Exactly.
And I bring that up specifically because someone gave a last week for on Portland. It's like, what's wrong with Portland, man? It's like, you've clearly never been. If literally you don't understand
everything, minus like the beauty, the natural beauty of it, right?
Yeah.
So AO Racing then kind of has to backtrack a little bit because there was a lot of backlash that was coming from it online, from fans and other people being like, you're not the first person to have teeth on your cars, and here's all these examples and all this sort of thing. And so they kind of put a statement out explaining all of this reasoning as to why they kind of went to the level that they did with their response. And I just wanted to get everyone's opinion on why do you think do you think it should be something that a brand takes a stance on an issue and then social media, whether it's bias or social media response or negative social media press, if you will, makes them change their stance on it completely? Because I don't think anything that they did in essence in the beginning was wrong. Like, I don't think they didn't say you're going to get sued. Here's a letter from our attorney. Like Tim said, there was no cease and desist, all this sort of thing. They kind of just did like, hey, that's our thing. Please don't do it, sort of thing, which might be wrong, might be right. Doesn't really matter. They completely kind of 180'd on their response because of the social media kind of disapproval that they got. So should we be doing that? Do you think that's a thing that, because in my mind, they look even worse now. Like it makes them look like guilty because they're like accepting fault for something that really wasn't wrong.
The crime, right? Like,
so why, if I tweet something, right, and people disagree with it, or not tweet, say something on podcast, oh, Portland sucks. Why do we go there, right? People on me about it. I'm not going to change my opinion of it. So like, why should anyone be changing their opinion on
because I think
a statement they make on social media?
I see what you're saying. I agree in principle. I think the difference is to use your example, Portland objectively does suck. So, but when you say something that people have a good argument and like maybe you missed the broader point in your original statement, even though nothing about what the team said was ever supposed to be like, it wasn't anti-fan. They weren't discouraging their fans from supporting them by painting. You know, it was just like, I don't know. I think that there may have been like a tone that was overlooked in the team's responses. And so I get why.
But is it worth then putting out a whole another press statement?
Not when it was worse than the first one.
Yeah.
Sure.
Honestly, yeah. I think they just missed the boat twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's specifically about the response on social media, like, yeah, you can amplify those responses and get them faster. But what's the difference between that and like people that used to write in op-ed letters or mail-in campaigns or other ways of expressing their opinion in a public way? Like, we can just do it a lot easier now.
For sure. But I think to your point, the changing of it actually made it worse.
Worse.
If they just hadn't replied to all the backlash, this would have died down. Because I never even actually heard about the original offense. I never even actually heard of. It was the reaction to the backlash to like, you know, whatever that got even. I don't know. The whole thing is silly. It's a sports car team. We're just going racing. Calm down. Like, it's fine.
The other thing that happened yesterday on social media that I want to talk about before we get to Sebring is in a similar vein, but not really. There's a NHRA funny car driver, right? That absolutely
we talked about this with Kyle Kirkwood.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I really no. I want to hear your take on
this.
I definitely want to hear your take on this.
That guy's a clown. Okay, because my favorite part about all of this is the next time that he was on television was a qualifying run, and he qualified at 209 miles an hour because he was all sideways and spun the tires and was all out of shape. His average speed or top speed was 209.
Slower than an
So
Indy
it was like, slower than an Indy car, huh? Shut up. And calling Fox out for being like fake news network and blah, 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 and all this sort of thing. Like, that's not, we're not saying it's the single
for a sport
fastest
that's
thing.
broadcast by them. NHRA is also on Fox.
So what's your point?
Why would you criticize Fox?
Yeah.
Oh, right. No, just completely insane. I don't understand it at all.
Here's the thing. I love his passion. He's passionate about his sport. I respect that. If you want to get very specific, yes, NHRA is racing, and yes, it is technically a faster speed than IndyCar. Fine. I don't think a lot of people classify them in the same kind of brand of motorsports, and that like drag racing versus circuit racing is the same way you wouldn't include rally racing. Like,
I saw one person respond with saying NHRA is racing is akin to saying finger painting is art.
That's maybe belittling the sport more than I'm okay with. It's not that. But it's a different kind of racing, right? But like fastest circuit racing in the world doesn't have the same flow, right? The anger that he showed, what I didn't get was like, it's not like the ad said the NHRA sucks, IndyCar is better. They were just making a blanket statement to make IndyCar look good, right? It was not supposed to be at the cost of NHRA. Like, he is bringing more attention, negative attention to the NHRA based on that reaction than I think anyone that saw the IndyCar commercials has. So I get it. He's not wrong. It is a faster form of racing. It's a different kind of racing. This is a tagline in a commercial. Calm down. Like, he didn't even talk about his run. He just talked about that and left in such a, if he'd like dropped a little joke, I was expecting one of them to maybe be like, yeah, I qualified at 3:30. That's a little quicker than IndyCar. Isn't it? Is that the fastest race? But no, he just like went scorched earth on it, which I think was totally the wrong approach. So again, passionate guy. I respect that. He just maybe didn't approach that one the best. And
wow. So, Sebring 12 hour. Let's talk about that now. Let's talk about you are going to compete in a race that is going to be longer than Daytona was for you, hopefully.
God willing, yeah. The 9 hours of Daytona was not what we were looking for.
So what's give us the
prognosis?
Yeah, what do we think?
You know, obviously the team's been hard at work since Daytona. We obviously had a bunch of repair work to do, which sucked, but part of the deal. As a result of that, we missed the test because the car wasn't up and running again, which really sucks because we could have definitely used the test time. That said, so it's Marco, Andrea, and myself back in the car, and they both know the track. They've raced there before. They obviously know the car like the back of their hand. So it's not the worst case scenario. The other Lamborghini, the Forte car, did run at the test, so we'll get some information from them, which helps. And yeah,
how much sharing is there between you guys? Because yes, you're both driving Lamborghinis, but you are also super competing against each other.
Well, different classes, right? Because we're GTD Pro and they're GTD.
Fair. Okay.
It's less of a thing. Although, I hate to call them out this way, but like we had that last year with McLaren as well, right? The Inception car was not in the same class as us, and they were. And I don't know if this came from the team or if this was more of like
they were not
from McLaren.
They did not like to share.
They were not very forthcoming with information.
No.
It is much more symbiotic relationship with Forte than it was last year on the McLaren side of things. So whether that's coming from the team or from Lambo, directive from Lambo, I don't know. But yes, it's a much more open book. I wouldn't say it's completely open, but it's much more open. So it's great. So that will help tremendously. And yeah, man, I'm excited. It's going to be hot again, which sucks because you remember last year was hot and not great. Well, Kirkwood was saying it's supposed to be like 90 degrees on Saturday.
Oh, no.
I really
does this car have?
I want to start the race now. Does it what?
Have vents?
It's got a lot better airflow than the McLaren.
So it has some.
It has some, and it is definitely a cooler car. But we don't have like AC, and we don't have cool suit. I don't know if maybe we'll have a cool suit actually. No, hang on. They were. I'll have to get back to you on that. We didn't in Daytona, but there's a chance we have
that thing's been running for like
a decade.
Forever.
Yeah.
How is there not AC or a cool suit? I understand the McLaren because like it was newish.
Yeah. So the AC no, but the cool suit maybe, and maybe that was just because we got the car so late in Daytona, and Daytona ended up being freezing cold anyway, so it was fine. I will report back on that, but I do hope we have it because Sebring was not super awesome in the heat last year. But yeah, man, it's who knows? It's a different BOP than Daytona. Just in general, right? Like the overall philosophy, like it's one BOP for Daytona and then another BOP for the rest of the races. So we still don't know. We obviously had a good one in Daytona. The car was very competitive. I don't know where we're going to stack up at Sebring. Not having tested there obviously hurts, but we will see. And yeah, I'm just excited to get back behind the wheel and see the guys again. Again, we got the car like mid-December, right? So even just for the team, having had it now in the shop for this time in between Daytona and Sebring for a month or whatever, you just get the opportunity to go through everything better and, learn a little bit more about the car and this, that, and the other. So, yeah, on paper, cautiously optimistic, but we won't know until we know. First time going there with the torque sensors, and they don't like bumps, and Sebring has a bump or two. So that's going to be interesting. Yeah. I think managing that is going to be very tough. We'll make it work. What are you looking forward to tomorrow at Old Babel? La Parc de Babel.
Le Parc Auto de Babel.
Yeah, I'm good now. I think I got it all.
I bet he's got one more in him.
No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do what you would do.
Is it French?
No, absolutely not.
I didn't know if there was some like background of French.
No, God no.
What am I looking forward to? Well, ECR has historically been very good there.
It's true.
And
their first win was there, I believe.
I don't know if that's true or not, but like they are super strong there. So I'm looking forward to that. Driving a stout car there.
Who else testing?
So everyone is testing minus Ganassi and Andretti and Juncos. But Ganassi's kind of testing because Shank's here.
True. Yeah, that's great for them, man. You kind of got to split that up and almost use your days.
Ed and I were talking about this, and it's like that should be not allowed. Or if it is allowed, then team should have the ability to we're going to send Christian to Barber and Alex to Indy GP next week.
Yeah. It should be, you should be able to split up drivers. I actually think that makes sense.
So, fine. But it's kind of bull that Ganassi's getting a completely extra day.
Well, then again, if you did it that way, then every Ganassi driver could get a day so they could test at 3 tracks instead of 2. So that actually wouldn't work out.
Okay, fine. So you need to eliminate if Shank's going to a test.
If you have a technical partnership,
Ganassi has to go.
Both cars have, both teams have to go.
Or
they don't, but it counts against their day.
Sure. Penske and Foyt are here. So that's a non-issue. But anyway, so a lot of people here. So it'll be a good... so
that's still 20 cars probably?
Yeah. I mean, it'll be a good benchmark to know where we're at. And listen, we know that road courses and the ovals, well, we know that road courses in Indy are the races we have to capitalize on. So it's very important for us to really learn about the tire, learn how the hybrid affects, their historical setup here, and if any, right? Because this is, one of 6-7 races on the calendar that we have our best shot to score pretty big points. So it's an important day. It's a big day, and hopefully it goes smooth and we can accomplish what we're trying to accomplish.
Love that. What's your all right, so that's all the driving stuff, I think. Is there any news? Do we miss any big news? F1's this weekend. But we'll talk about that next weekend, I'm sure. Wait. Did you do a fantasy team or not? On Grid Rival? I am asking. Because
yes.
Tim, can you confirm or deny this? No? Okay. So I have a feeling you didn't. That's fine. You can still join, even though you're a race behind. I feel like you should do that. So we started that league. I started the league that you were supposed to join, that I told everybody you were going to be in, and you're not. So you're letting the people down. It's fine. And how many people?
To be fair, you didn't say I had to join. You said
True.
you're gonna pretend that you're joining. I'm downloading it right now. Okay. I forgot. I'm sorry.
The guy that's leading. Oh, how about this? That's actually hilarious.
What?
So I was going to say, so there's 1,570 players in the league.
In your league?
In my league. Very
That's
awesome.
incredible.
Very happy about that turnout.
So you don't need me.
After race 1, I am 367th.
Okay.
Of
it's ahead of me.
1,500. Very much, very far ahead of you. But as I look, the person, I don't know, the person that is leading, their like avatar, their profile picture is a shot of, looks to me like the 2016 Indy 500 with one Alex Rossi leading ahead of one James Hinchcliffe.
Look at us.
And I just noticed that. It's a shot of us going into turn 1. How funny is that?
Look at us, pal.
Look at us. So yeah, it's actually really fun. It's actually like I'm super. I suck at fantasy and everything.
I'm getting it now.
So I also Fox started a league.
Who are your 5 dudes?
So it's let's see.
Or 6 dudes.
You have to do so like you have to do 6 on a team, money,
right? Yeah.
And you have like contracts.
Yeah, I know that.
Right. So I don't remember how many races I signed everybody up for.
Oh, okay.
Right. So I don't know what my team looks like for next week, if it stays the same or not.
Who did you have in St. Pete that got you 300th?
So I had Pillow.
Smart.
So that worked. I had Newgarden. So that worked.
Where did he finish?
I had Newgarden was 3rd.
Oh yeah.
I had Award because you get points for like passes and stuff, right? So he passed the most cars, so that was good.
Okay.
I had Callum Ilott, who
didn't work.
Started 27th, finished 19th, did great, made me a lot of points.
Okay.
Oh, dude, it breaks down how they scored their points. Oh, cool. Okay, so you get something called comp would. Which I assume is laps completed. So we finished the race. Everybody gets the same amount. All my guys finished the race. That was good. Overtakes, you get points for that. Percentage of laps led, you get points for that. And then there's one other category that says PI, but I don't know what that stands for. PI.
Pass interference.
Oh, then you get points for beating your teammate. It says
I just
PI
signed
points.
below.
Okay. Oh yeah, so then I had VK and Rosenquist as well.
You.
I knew that was coming.
Who did you have, Tim?
You would have actually been a good get because of where you finished.
Yeah.
Where you started.
Who do you have, Tim?
I don't have this. I wasn't made. I didn't have to do this. This was a you guys thing. I get to sit this one out.
So far I've just signed Pillow, and I think that's all I'm going to sign because I feel like that'll win.
So in the Fox one, so they did a Fox one. I did a different lineup, and I got more points. That would have put me 13th overall of the 13,000 players that are on the game.
Oh,
apparently.
Okay. Well, listen, I would join before Thermal. I will do my best to beat you because that's really all that I would be trying to do.
It's really all it's about.
And yeah, I think I don't know what else to talk about, guys.
I got a question.
Tim's hair looks like.
Thanks. It's good to see you too.
Yeah.
I heard it. I'm trying to remember where I heard this. Somebody on something, I don't know if it was on a show of some kind. You got caught in a mudslide. Would you be more worried about getting crushed to death or suffocating to death?
I feel like I don't do well enough in emergency situations to have like the presence of mind to decide what I'm freaked out about. Like I think I'd be dead before I knew what to worry about.
Okay, let me rephrase the question. Which way would you rather die in a mudslide? By suffocating to death or being crushed to death?
No, I think
crushed,
I'd go the suffocation, right?
No, you wouldn't. Because it's on instant, dude.
Yeah, but
I mean, you could be crushed slowly.
It's like when you drown, you're like, don't they say you go through like euphoria or something when you drown?
Oh my God.
That is my biggest fear. Like that's the one way I would rather.
Don't say it.
No.
Don't say it. I saw your lips form it. Don't say it.
So Number 2 would be drowning, like the worst. Number 1, definitely burned alive.
Yeah.
But like those are the top 2 worst ways to go, I think.
Have you guys heard of what was it called? There's a documentary that's now it's been made a movie. It's called like One Last Breath or something like that, about these divers that have to go down and work on like the oil rigs and stuff.
Yeah.
The wells.
The movie's coming out, right?
The movie's coming out. So we watched the documentary. Spoiler alert, turn down the volume if you don't want to know what happens in this show, movie, and eventually documentary.
They go underwater.
So the guy makes it, but he dies. Like
barely.
He runs out of air. He has 5 minutes of air, and he's down there for like 32 minutes or something.
So you're saying that's a problem? He couldn't hold his breath for 27 minutes?
He could not. So
coward,
right?
Yeah.
But he did. Like, there's this unbelievable moment at the end of the movie. You guys suck. Oh man, now I can't even say what I was going to say. It just ruins the poignant moment. But this guy wouldn't have drowned because when he lost his air, like the hose ripped, but then he had this backup tank that's supposed to last for 5 minutes, right? But so he didn't like drown. He just ran out of air in like in a suit, in like a airtight suit. So that's different than drowning, because drowning's like the panic.
It's essentially suffocating.
Right? Like, it's suffocating, but he said he's like, it was really peaceful. He's like, I was really upset and weird about it at first, but then it's like, he died, but then he did
brought him back.
Like he made it.
He hinge clipped it.
Like basically, yeah. Like they had like a remote little submarine thing that had a camera on him, and like you saw him twitching at the end, and then stop twitching, and then like 10 minutes later they got to him, and you see a guy dragging his lifeless body up into the thing. And then they get him into the thing, and the guy just gave him a couple breaths of air, CPR style, and he woke up. But he says he remembers the whole thing, and he was like,
incredible.
When he talks to the doctor, there's like this really crazy moment where he just has this really personal moment with the doctor, and he was like, "It's not that bad." And I was like, "Oh my god!" It was so wild, man. You should watch the documentary, because it is what happened to get him stuck down there is so like it's. Like 100, it's like 100 things had to go just wrong at the right time in the right order.
Holes in the Swiss cheese lined up. Yep,
dude.
Yep,
100%.
Is it bad? I saw the ad for that movie, for the not the documentary, for the other one coming out, and my thought was like, man, I haven't scuba dived in a while. I should go soon.
No, same. This actually No, but so this was, I don't know if you saw my story the other day on Instagram, but Becky posted it and I reposted it because we're watching this. Yeah. So this guy has this very near-death experience. He should have been dead. Like, it doesn't make any sense that he survived.
But I don't know. It's near death. I mean, that was
it's like past death. Yeah,
right.
Death. He had a death experience.
Yeah. I mean,
Great point.
Yeah.
He was not near it. Actually, he was quite far behind him. He was way past death.
Right.
I got way past death. He was super dead.
Yeah.
And so, they're like, it reveals that he survives and all the stuff or whatever. And then the music kind of starts uplifting, and they start saying some stuff. And I'm sitting there cross-armed. I'm like, I swear to God, if this guy goes back diving again, if he goes back to diving, if he goes back diving, I swear to God. And it's like 3 weeks later, Mark was back on a dive. I'm like, what the? I'm like, this guy nearly dies doing this, and 3 weeks later, he just jumps back in.
Didn't nearly die.
Sorry. This guy literally dies.
Yep.
Literally dies. And 3 weeks later, just right back in the ocean. Like, this is so annoying. These people like this piss me off. And Becky,
no self-awareness?
Dude, zero. I just, like, there was no response. And I kind of just looked over, and the look on Becky's face was priceless. She was just like, and I'm like, oh, yeah. Yes. Okay, now I get why the doctors were so pissed off when my third question was, when can I get back in a race car? Now I get it. Now I understand. So yeah, it was just a very funny moment of lack of self-awareness. And I deserved that look pretty aggressively.
Yeah.
But I do suggest going to watch the documentary. It's very good.
Mark would have hated that response.
Nah, I mean, what doesn't he hate?
I also just realized if, like, some people have that conversation we just had. They're like, oh, how would you like to go? For you, it's like, well, next time I think I'd like to try.
The first one I wasn't as big a fan of. It was too messy. Too many people involved. It was just a lot of work for a lot of people. I don't want to put people out like that.
Sticky. It was
I had to throw out all my clothes. This is a whole thing.
Yeah, you made it on Sports Center.
Between that and peeing in the seat.
Basically, every time you've left bodily fluids in a car, you've made it on Sports Center.
That's the key, guys. Alex?
There's only one more bodily fluid to use.
I can think of a couple.
That would be a day, my friend. On that note, have fun testing tomorrow. We'll talk to you later. This has been Off Track with Hinch and Rossi. Off Track is part of the SiriusXM Sports Podcast Network. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more, please give a 5-star rating and leave a review. Subscribe today wherever you stream your podcasts. We are at Ask Off Track on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at Hinchtown and at Alexander Rossi. If you want to follow Tim, though we have no idea why you would, he's at the Tim Durham on Twitter. Find us on YouTube and subscribe to our channel for exclusive video content. Off Track is produced by Tim Durham, and by that we mean Tim.